Fantasia playing?
Yes, and Mitch Georgiadis isn't.
Just
Not right. No, not right. Risk not worth taking. Clearly it's a massive game. We'd love to have Mitch out there, but unfortunately, his scans are okay. He trained okay, not top end. So I think that made the decision easier for us. So Orazio will play.
Simple as 1 for 1.
Pretty much, yeah. Well, from a selection point of view, but we've obviously got a medi sub and stuff that we still have to work our way through.
So if it's genuine tightness, is he the same bracket as Orazio and Trevor Kinsey?
I would almost certainly say he'll be available next week.
So a bit has changed since you last played here at Adelaide Oval. That one tested your defence, gave up your biggest score of the year. So I think you're better in that space to be able to hold.
We're certainly, we have to be better for a start. Games that happened 10 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago almost, don't have that bigger relevance to what happens on Friday night. So, the tests that you talk about are there though. There's incredibly talented two tall people in that Geelong forward line who any side will struggle with at times with Hawkins and Cameron. They're great players, and I mean Tom's playing his 300th game. I should say a great effort by Tom to get to that point, but we just don't want him to have a good game tomorrow night. But those challenges are real. We're a well organised team, a well drilled defensive team who can cope more often than not, and have shown that we can cope more often, I think, over the course of the season.
You still like Trent McKenzie on Hawkins? Is that still the matchup you like?
It's probably more around where Geelong put their forwards more than what we do, to be honest. We'll play where we need to play in the positions that we need to play, but I would suspect Trent would be standing alongside Tom Hawkins at some point, very early on in the contest.
Do you feel you've got a deeper midfield now to deal with all the threats Geelong has there compared to even last year?
I think we're still growing our midfield. I think that's what we've been in this year, unfortunately, with a few things that have gone on through the mid-tier of the season where we had some people unavailable. That probably got held up a little bit, but we've certainly grown our midfield through the course of the season. With Willem Drew's a great example, but we think that at some point Xavier Dersman will go through there as well. We think Miles Bergman potentially could go through there as well. We know about Butters, Gray, Rosie type players that go through there. So we've got a lot of names that can potentially go through there, but they haven't had a lot of experience in there.
And how tempted were you to bring in, I think a couple of others knocking on the door, Sam, Pepper, obviously, Hamish, Tommy Cleary. Is it just so strong at the moment?
Hamish is a different one because Hamish has been injured, so he's only basically cleared to get back and train a little bit this week for the first time. And Tom and Sam have been in incredible form. Both could easily play. Unfortunately, we're in a fit, healthy state at this moment when that wasn't always the case 10 or 12 weeks ago.
Is Pepper a chance to be the medical sub, or?
He'd be in emergencies, yes.
Yeah. Do you think you're better placed than this time last year entering the same stage? Better place to win it all?
No, I don't know whether it's so hard. It's just so incredibly hard to win at this level at the end of the year. I mean, I've been in the game for a long, long time. I know how hard it is to get there. We've given ourselves a great chance. We've earned that great chance, and we know the quality of the sides that we're going to have to beat now. They'll step up. We have to step up with them. But we're as well placed as any of the teams in the top 8 to give ourselves a chance to win it.
Yeah, last year's final was low scoring compared to other Port Geelong games. Is it just a symptom of finals, or symptom of the pressure, or by design that time?
No, I think there's a lot of things that go into a low scoring game. Sometimes, particularly when you play night games, you can have dewy games. You can have they look perfect, but they're not. They can look like they should be a much higher scoring game, but they're harder to handle. But there's significant pressure also that's applied by both sides. Both sides are out there with massive things to play for, and that builds pressure. And once pressure's at an elite level, which we know in this competition how good the teams can be at applying pressure, it makes it a really tough game to play. You just got to be resilient enough to hang in for the whole game.
So you can't afford to waste chances, and that was a challenge for you last week. How have you been able to hone that factor this week?
If we look over the form of the season, I think we've been pretty accurate when it comes to converting most of our chances when we get those chances. Last week was a bit of an outlier with 1 goal late at half time is a little unusual for most teams, I would have thought, but I'm very confident that we do enough work on our goal kicking and our opportunities to put scoreboard pressure on if we get chances.
Ahead of the finals campaign, how much do you speak specifically about what's ahead and the chance, the opportunity for the club?
I think that was, if you go back to your first question was around, are we better prepared? I think that's certainly where we can say we are better prepared, is because we've been through this only 12 months ago. We actually have a better, like, to be fair, it was quite a young group last year that had their first chance at playing in finals for a period of time, and this year it's that group have had some experience. They've done it, they've been through it, you know, they understand a little bit better, so I think we're better prepared to understand what the challenges of finals will be. So I think it's good that we've got some better experience.
What about your starts, Ken? I don't think you've won a first quarter for nearly 2 nights. Have you been able to put your finger on why that is?
We've won 17 games for the year, so we've been pretty good.
The
starts,
next question was going to be on the finishes, because they have been good, but on the starts, have you figured?
I think last week the starts are what they are. Look, we haven't played our best in the last 2 or 3 weeks in the start of games. I think over the course of the year, and I think that's what we do. We get a little bit short-sighted with the moment. We create the story on the moment, and you know, last week we gave up a little bit of a start. There's no doubt about that. If we give up a start to Geelong, we'll be in trouble. So probably your question's fair.
What about the finishes then? Is there a reason that you guys have been able to finish so well? The flip side of it is, I think maybe the last 6 you've won last quarters, and by a margin in a lot of them.
Yeah, I think we stick to a process, and I thought that's what last week was about. The message I gave to the boys last week was clearly at quarter time and half time was, hey, don't panic about this. If the scoreboard's the only place you get some nourishment from, you're going to lose your way. For us is to understand the game style that we play, and the results are not always just on the scoreboard. You can feel like you're playing a good, solid game of football, and the scoreboard can be going against you. That's what happened last week. But I think you just got to stick to a process, and we do that pretty well. No, I really can't, because I don't know, because Geelong have beaten us here this year. We went to Melbourne. We flew in and flew out of the game last week. We got home at 2:30 a.m. last Saturday morning. We've done it and won. I don't think there's any excuse. It's not an excuse, and it's not an advantage. I'm glad we're playing. All I am is I'm very happy that we're playing in front of 15,000 Port people, and hopefully even a few more of that could happen. It would be fantastic. That's a reward for our members and the work and the effort that they've done for us as a football club over a long journey. We've earned the opportunity to be at home. We deserve the opportunity to be at home. Oh, I got no idea about that. I've got a pretty busy job at the moment, but crowd numbers are, I think the Premier and the health people are making all those decisions along with our management team. But if there's a change, I reckon there'll be plenty of Port people ready to grab a ticket.
Ken, one of the drawbacks of being successful is a lot of people try to poach what you're doing. Apparently, Scott has been offered a 3-year deal by West Coast. Is that just part and parcel of it?
Yeah, I think that's a good way of summing it. It's what happens. I mean, without being specific on anything, those stories come out. It's about players, it's about coaches, it's a lot of things that happen in, unfortunately it's finals times, but a lot of other stuff happens around it, but you know, they're part of the industry we work in.
Who was it different this time around with Scott Lyson and Laddams when you didn't have them in the last game against Geelong?
We had Laddams, but certainly didn't have Scott, but you know, look, as I said, Rich, all those things, the personnel for both teams will be 4 or 5 players different, I reckon, from both sides. You can't reflect on it too much. You can't go back to it too much. All you can do is go to the start of tomorrow night's game and be at your absolute best if we can, and hopefully get the starts better.
But it's a better match-up in terms of ruck to deal with Geelong than having Laddams and Dixon Short.
Oh, we believe so, but we've got to prove that and we've got to produce that. So we think it's, you know, there's no secret that Scott Lyson's been our number 1 ruck and has been now for 3 years. So we love having him out there. So that certainly makes us a better side, we hope, but there's no guarantees in that.
What did you think when you saw the All-Australian squad, Ken? What were your first thoughts, Port Adelaide-wise?
Thought that they were reasonable. I thought the 3 people who were in it were worthy recipients of being in the squad.
Anyone miss out? Perhaps
not my story, not my conversation. Seems to be that it's our fault, but it's not. That is not the case. I select the Port Adelaide football side every week, and I'm held responsible for that.
What is, I know Trav is sort of the first person that you'd say wouldn't care about that sort of thing, but when he has the year that he's had and he doesn't get that league-wide recognition of being in the 40, does it weigh on him at all? Does it weigh on you at all? Is it an annoyance?
No. We're here to win for a football team. We're here to win a premiership, hopefully, and that's our ultimate goal and our ultimate starting point at the start of the season, which is where Travis was as well at the start of the season. He's had an outstanding season. All I can say is Travis had an outstanding season.
Could he expect the midfield just to go head-to-head or even get some attention from them, given Wines' form ahead with both last week?
I think typically, what's happened in the past is they tend to go a bit head-to-head, but, O'Connor's also played some tagging roles for Geelong, so there's some flexibility. Chris is a really smart coach, really clever coach, who will do everything he can to make sure Geelong win. We will do everything we can to try and make sure Port Adelaide win.
Have you noticed any changes in Geelong this year? I mean, I think it's flying on, but what's Cameron done with the dynamic of their...
Yeah, he's made them good. I don't know whether he's made them better because they've been a bloody good team for a long period of time. So, but Jeremy Cameron's a high quality player. I mean, Tom's a high quality player. We talk about the players that they've got in their side. They're led well by Joel. They're a side that we respect enormously, but they're a side that we're desperate to beat.
Has it changed the way they play, or is Cameron fitted into what they were doing? What they were doing, if that makes sense?
Yeah, again, we've had a good look at him, but Jeremy's only been back for a few weeks. He's missed quite a bit of football. Certainly makes them better, but where he positions himself, how they play together, I think they'll only get better probably at that as they go over the next couple of years.
I just want to ask the boys that can't play this week, it's a sample buy, I believe. What do they do? Like someone like a Lockie Jones or whatever who would be fit to play a game?
Yeah, they'll just train. They'll do a training session, a solid, what we would term a match simulation type training session, but obviously with 15 or 16 players, you're not having a game of football, but they'll train really hard. They'll be in great shape. They've got a game in the SANFL to finish the season off next week, which is great for us to keep our players going.
And have you had any indication yet from the AFL if you were to win this week and have a week off? Do you know if there's a bye anywhere? Do you have any idea about anything, Ken?
I'd like to know, but no, I don't know. But we're really good now. We've really adjusted to working on the run a little bit, to doing whatever we need to do whenever we need to do it to play football.